Hello, lovely listeners. Welcome to another episode of Marvelous, or The Death of Cinema. On this episode, we tackle the utterly unremarkable, I can't even think of anything joking to say about it, Doctor Strange. Like, it's not a tentpole, it's not an event film, it is just, here's another guy. Here's another dude. What are his powers? I don't know, magic.
Magic, kung fu.
He makes portals like in the game Portal.
Avatar, Last Airbender, Matrix, Doctor House, ER.
Yeah, it's what if Dr. House was a wizard and had a less consistent accent and no pill addiction or anything, making his character interesting.
What if instead of lupus, he got into a car accident in his Lamborghini?
Yeah.
And the whole thing took not even like 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, so I guess I'll just enter into the plot summary then. Because Nicole can't actually remember the movie.
Yeah, so well first I'm breaking with tradition. I did not write a smarmy, annoying summary of this movie. A, because I was very busy this week, or last 2 weeks. B, because this whole movie completely washed over me. It was one of those Thor level boring movies for me.
Yeah.
Although takes precedence in a couple of ways with some visually more interesting stuff, but really we were watching it together over Discord, and just I don't think my expression changed throughout the entire movie. I just felt like I was staring at I was like staring at a static screen for the most part. Just so unengaged, so detached. Like, oh, what's happening? This is happening. Oh, look, it's Tilda Swinton. That was the only reason I could muster up any desire to actually watch this was Tilda Swinton. And you know what? She's the best thing in the movie. Her and her alopecia head.
Much. Okay, so I'll do my summary here.
All right, let me give you that 1, 2, 3 though.
Sure. All right.
You're doing this off the cuff too.
I am completely, yeah.
All right, so Miguel, we're still gonna add music to the background because it's gonna be funny. Let's just see how. And while you do that, I'm just gonna read some good articles in this People magazine.
Yeah, you read it for the articles.
Oh, what is this? Chris Evans, sexiest man alive. Don't mind if I do. Okay. 3, 2.
I can't believe I wasn't in contention this year.
You're not in it? You know who is?
I wasn't even nominated. It's very embarrassing for People magazine.
These guys are in it. I don't know who they are.
Who are they? This is a podcast.
Oscar Isaac. He's deserving. Oh no, Machine Gun Kelly. He does weird shit. Okay. Ready?
Right. Sorry.
3, 2, 1. Hit it.
Engelbert Humperdinck stars as House MD as Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is a doctor who becomes a wizard because he crushes his hands in a car crash. Without his hands, he can't be a doctor. So he goes to Tibet to learn magic from a Chinese man who's Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton has one of those students who's gone to the dark side. You know, she's sort of the...
Obi-Wan?
I don't know how I blanked on that. Edit that out. She's sort of the Obi-Wan.
No, keep it in.
To Mads Mikkelsen's Anakin Skywalker. What are his motivations? Something about how all existence is doomed to die, so it'll become immortal by being annexed to the interdimensional empire of Dormammu, a big floating face in space. Doctor Strange has to stop him. What is his character arc? He is an arrogant doctor who learned to care about people other than himself. Maybe. It's technically in the movie. He also has a love interest. She doesn't matter. We don't need to talk about her. There's a lot of guys punching each other while on the green screen in the background there's some kind of trippy visuals, which is mostly just stuff ripped off from a Chemical Brothers music video from the 90s. In the end, Doctor Strange defeats Mads Mikkelsen in the sole vaguely clever moment of the movie, where he traps Dormammu in a time loop where Dormammu kills him over and over and over and over again until he gets so pissed off at not being able to break the time loop he finally just gives up. The end. Doctor Strange becomes the king of the wizards.
Sitting down inside his comfy, cozy farmhouse just outside of Atlanta on a beautiful fall day, Chris Evans can't help but fidget. Oh, sorry, are we still doing the episode? I already got bored. Yeah, that's pretty much the movie. And even then I feel like it was just completely substanceless.
There's Chiwetel Ejiofor as like the guy who's sort of like the rigid rules follower guy who feels betrayed when he finds out Tilda Swinton's been using dark side magic the whole time, but for good. And then that causes him to turn evil in a post-credit setup for I don't know what, because I don't know if he ever comes back.
Yeah, presumably being a villain in a future Doctor Strange
But the next Doctor Strange movie is about Scarlet Witch, so
yeah.
Which is too bad because Chiwetel Ejiofor is a great actor. And
he is.
Like most of the cast, he's kind of giving everything, like a lot of these movies, he's giving everything he can to really, really thin material. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but that's a lot of consonants. It's not my fault. I have
you pronounced it better than I could. I would have offended so many people.
I have the crude Angloid tongue.
It's what my old man would have called a Wonder Bread wop. He eats his Sunday gravy out of a jar.
Yeah. So, can we like the first thing that we both collectively really commented on with this movie was the fact that the origin story of Doctor Strange is there, but it takes less than 15 minutes, and
here's the thing:
it goes by so fast that we have no connection to anything or care.
Everything is so the setup for everything is so lean and so expository so quickly paced. You don't get a chance to like give a shit about him or process what you're experiencing. Him, his arrogance, his relationship to his peers, his relationship to his love interest. It just blows by because they're in a rush to get him to DePaul
for
go
training
do magic
sequences, which
is the whole middle like 35 minutes of the movie.
So long.
The pacing of this movie is so weird because it's like we don't want to do another long origin story movie, but we also need to do an origin story because nobody knows who Doctor Strange is. But we don't want to commit too much time to the origin story, but we also have all the beats there, so it's kind of like, neither having its cake nor eating it.
I mean, so like what we have
like
here
this movie seems totally disinterested in its own story.
Well, what we have here is a case of a movie that's really more invested in the special effects and set pieces than it is in characters or character development story. And that's the thing that was really made me disengage from it. Also, you know what? Kaleidoscopic CGI visuals, not psychedelic. Stop doing it, Hollywood.
It's more interesting than what you see in most Marvel movies.
Comparatively, sure.
But it's also still got a little bit of that, like
the sheen,
the green screen separation, the smoothness, where you just feel like if anyone remembers PlayStation 1 era games, where you'd have the pre-rendered background, which was a screenshot of like high quality for the time CGI, and then the crude, blocky, pixelated 3D models of characters would be superimposed on top of them. Which is not actually a thing I dislike in those games, but that's another topic. But this movie has that thing. Everybody's just kind of floating on top of the action. And it's just like all this kaleidoscopic stuff is happening around them, but rarely feels like it's happening to them.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, a lot of the action is still just guys doing kung fu. There's a whole astral projection fight where Doctor Strange is dying on a table while his love interest does defibrillator shit, because movies just don't care how defibrillators actually work in real life.
Oh, they never have.
They
That's
never
just
do.
a given with any movie.
And he's astral projection fighting. It's a little bit like the climactic scene of The Frighteners. He's astral projection ghost fighting with a bad guy. And it's just two guys fighting, but they kind of float and go through the walls. And that's like all there is to it. It isn't totally devoid of imagination. Like there's a couple clever moments in the final fight where where like the guys are fighting while time goes in reverse around them. That was kind of cool. That was like, I kind of perked up for that, but mostly, yeah, it's like, we had the CGI guys go nuts, just ripping off, like I said, the Let Forever Be music video and the Stargate sequence from 2001.
We literally paused by the way, we literally paused the movie at one point to just watch that music video. And I was like, can't we keep watching this?
Yeah, it's a great music video.
It's a great music video. And then I was really bummed we had to go back to watching this boring piece of shit.
Directed by Michel Gondry.
Oh, well, this is directed by the guy who gave us Bagul and the Black Phone, which I haven't seen yet, but people are saying is actually
might
pretty
be good. I think Sinister is like competently made, but it's just peak late 2000s Hollywood horror, studio horror movie.
Yeah, it feels like very much in the vein of those like Conjuring movies where it's just like, we want CGI people with detached CGI mouths to pop out and go, rah, jump scare, and look at this footage of the audience getting scared.
The Bagul is kind of a stupid name, and the demon in the movie, he just looks like a guy from Slipknot. He does. He just looks like a guy from Slipknot. Like,
yeah, it's like he's the.
It's like, oh shit! It's a guy from Slipknot. He's coming to do something. Like he's just harassing
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Hawke is really good because he's a good actor. He's really good in it. Like, it's one of those movies where it's like the drama is more compelling than the horror, but then the horror is so by the numbers.
Yeah, this feels like it has the reverse problem where it has like no drama, or whatever drama is there, because drama should primarily be fueled by characters, but because the characters are so weak, like, again,
it's the most plug and play,
it's so plug and play
Marvel script. It really feels like you just fed all the other Marvel movie standalone character origin Marvel movie scripts into a GPT-2 neural net, and spit this out.
There were several lines like we predicted, like
we said them before the character said them.
Yeah. It was, and that happened like 3 times.
4.
Wait, counted. 4? Really?
Yeah, between the two of us. Yeah, it's. I mean, like, it's and it's so thin. Like, I'm not quite sure. Like, the movie itself, there's not a lot to say about it. Like, you know, the it's sold on its like super trippy visuals that just aren't that compelling. In part because it's like all the same. I don't even want to say it's because it's CGI, but it's because it's CGI done in that particular way where there's not a lot of care given to compositing the CGI itself, but also composition of the image, and
I mean, I do wonder if
integration with sets and props to kind of sell it better. Like, it's just kind of lacking that, and it undercuts how striking the imagery could be. And then the rest of the movie is so dull looking, like just like a TV show, you know, just kind of lots of, because we now know these movies are shot for coverage. They're shot to just have as much stuff that can be stitched together in different ways as possible, because they never stop fucking with these movies until like the day they come out. So there's just no engaging cinematography. There's no striking imagery or juxtaposition of imagery to be seen. Or very little, very little.
I mean, although I wonder if at least the big action set pieces, mainly the Inception, Paprika ripoff stuff, if that probably played better on a big screen. that probably
to
would
a
have
point.
maybe helped. I don't know. Like, I feel like there are some movies that visually will be more awe-inspiring, or if you watch it on a bigger screen.
I mean, at least it's not an airport.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've decided that I was way too cringe in the last episode, so this is my redemption arc. So it's a good thing we're just talking about a movie we hated.
I won the marvelous Civil War. Complete victory, unconditional surrender. I'm Abraham Lincoln, you're Jefferson Davis.
Oh, well, thank God I'm not Jonathan Wilkes Booth. Or John Wilkes Booth? Is it Jonathan?
Or no, John. It might be short for Jonathan. It's John Wilkes Booth.
If
you shoot a president, you've got 3 names.
Yeah.
Although you could argue Lee Harvey Oswald did not, in fact, shoot anybody.
Yeah, he was a patsy. Yeah, it's like, this is a really difficult movie to even pick apart, but I did manage to do a little bit of digging into the production stuff, and this is another Marvel movie where the like pre-production and attempts at making a official Marvel Doctor Strange movie go back into like the late 80s, early 90s, and this is barring there was a Doctor Strange movie that came out in the late 70s.
Yeah, we found out about that after.
So with Jessica Walter in her big ass titties in a
in an awesome dress. Yeah,
which we definitely need to watch. I just saw that image is enough to hook me now.
All the reviews suggest it's mostly pretty boring for opposite wise reasons to this one, but I want to see 70s era Jessica Walter in that dress though. Like,
I just want to see 70s era like filmmaking general. Yeah. Well, this is also, I should mention, over the course of watching this movie, I conceived of a superior, much better, more engaging, ideal Doctor Strange movie that would star Tim Curry as Doctor Strange and Udo Kier as the Mads Mikkelsen eyeliner bad guy. And it's directed by Ken Russell, and Tilda Swinton's still playing the Ancient One, but it's like very, 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 very early in her career, Tilda. So she's like fresh off of being scouted as a model by like Derek Jarman. And we're not gonna have any boring not case of the not gays love interest. Like there's really no reason.
She's so superfluous to this movie.
Rachel McAdams should be in this
honestly
movie.
So is Mads Mikkelsen's fucking my student who turned bad character. Like once again we've wasted a great charismatic actor on a nothing villain.
Two Tumblr beloved sexy men to fight in a movie together. This is like Civil War.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah,
it's Civil War between the Fannibals and Super Hulock.
Okay, but Hannibal's a way better show than
I know. I haven't watched the entirety. I've only seen a few episodes, but this is. I think I promised I needed to confess something in the last episode. It didn't last long. It was my freshman year of college, but I did have a Sherlock phase.
That's okay. Everybody did that first series came out. That was a girlfriend show for me. That was like, I watched it with my girlfriend show. Same with Supernatural.
I guess what's maybe worth talking about is the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch is the leading man, it was kind of a case where they had no one else in mind to play this character other than Benedict Cumberbatch. There was a time when he couldn't commit to doing the movie because of other film commitments. So the production team and Marvel started speaking with Joaquin Phoenix, and he came like really close to actually playing the character.
I think a better Doctor Strange, not that it would have made that big a difference because his character's so fucking thin and muddily defined.
I think this would have been better if it wasn't made at all. Or there should be a Doctor Strange movie because he only really works as like a side character. Like we don't need this establishing like movie about him. It feels like
Well, it's the problem
Thor
with the cinematic universe. Well, that's the thing. I think Doctor Strange could work fine as his own guy. But he fits weird in the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because like Dormammu is supposed to be his like recurring villain. And like the Dormammu threat is like bigger than anything most of the other characters usually face. And he's a wizard guy.
You're a wizard, Harry.
His whole deal is so weird and different from the other characters and what they do, that it makes like he could be his own thing, and you could just do like a wizard adventure stuff.
Make him more interesting, which
he has to be a lot more interesting. Like the which you could do, like I'm not gonna say like, oh, he only works as a side character. I don't think that's true, but I think they brought him into existence to function as a plot device so they can do multiverse stuff.
Oh, I mean that's just like obvious. That goes without saying.
They looked at the comics, they're like, oh, multiverses, so we can just have a Spider-Man for every I've talked about this. We just have a Spider-Man for every demographic, and then we can have them all meet.
This means we have commercial reason for a movie studio that has the rights to this specific set of Marvel characters.
Yeah, but it's like a force multiplier now.
Yeah.
Every bit of IP is now 100 slight variations of itself. It's like all of our IP is now multiplied by 100. And Doctor Strange is the vehicle to doing that for them. It's like, well, now we've got the man in the cape who can open portals to other dimensions and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, yeah, there's just nothing to this movie. It's kind of like the peak in terms of the more standalone or MCU movies. It's kind of peak that. Like, there's nothing.
Well, that's why I say it suffers from the Thor problem, where it's like,
yeah, but it doesn't have like the Thor, like the first Thor. There's more to grab onto,
but
no, but even the first Thor, like there's more to grab onto with its problems, with its weird missteps.
Okay, I thought you meant the actual story, and then I was like,
no. Like there's more to criticize.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like here. This is it. This is the perfectly refined standalone Marvel movie. Is this fucking value meal McDouble? Like, what am I going to say about it? What can I
You eat it and it goes right out through your colon.
Yeah. Like, I will not remember anything about this movie in a week.
I'm going to forget I watched this in a matter of weeks or months, probably.
Yeah, it's like
nothing stuck.
No, and like nothing was funny. Nothing was emotionally engaging.
Can we talk about
even the trip sequences? Well, more. Yeah, the humor is like this is like we're it here. We're in the soy, full on into the soy phase now. Into the anytime you get like an emotional beat, like okay, there was like one moment.
Yeah. Oh, the Wi-Fi password.
What's this? My mantra? It's the Wi-Fi password. We're not savages.
Or Beyonce.
Yeah.
Steven.
Wong.
What do you want, Strange?
Books on astral projection.
You're not ready for that.
Try me, Beyonce. Come on. You've heard of her. She's a huge star, right?
But that fucking okay, there was one moment that approximated a feeling for me, where Tilda Swinton is dying, and it's this bullshit
Tilda Swinton's dying after falling from the sky and somehow didn't splatter onto the sidewalk of New York, which
magic.
I guess, but you know what? Scott Derrickson, I know you're a self-described horror director, but it's sad seeing a guy who's, and I haven't really, the only movie I think of his I've seen was it him who did Exorcism of Emily Rose, I think?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. My dad saw his remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still, and he said, and I quote, "That is the worst movie I've ever fucking seen in my life." My dad is 69 years young, everybody, and he's a crossing guard, and it's really cute. And he thinks that movie sucks. So I can't really testify to Scott Derrickson's ability as like a director or like especially like a genre director, but just knowing that information, like I do remember like Emily Rose pretty well, like just knowing like what it's kind of the same thing with like James Gunn, where I'm like, I know you're capable of much more than this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing with Marvel movies is whatever potential exists in a movie and in the people making it is squashed to fit the machine. That's why it's not just, well, I don't like these movies because they're superhero movies or because they're mass entertainment. It's all their potential to be more interesting superhero movies or more interesting mass entertainment to display a greater degree of craft is wrung out of them by the industrial machinery of the Marvel mode of production and style. And this is just this is the perfect kind of terminal stage Marvel movie. Like we're in phase 3.
Terminal because it's hospital.
Phase 3 like third stage cancer.
But yeah. I mean, we could. I was just thinking
like
of the
last vestiges of the last vestiges of humanity have been wrung out of these movies, and that means even when we don't like them, there's less to criticize because they're not like clear flaws. They're just smooth porcelain orbs.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to remember what our big criticisms were, because when we watch things together, I'm not going to bother to stop taking notes. That'll ruin the flow and it makes it longer watching the movie. But just
I mean, it's just the thing. It's like every we've got
it's like I've woken up from a dream that I can't remember.
Yeah, that's exactly what watching this movie is like.
It's like there were a couple, like the one thing I think that kind of not saves the movie, but it's interesting.
I didn't finish my earlier point. The one glimmer of feeling I had is when Tilda Swinton is dying, and
her bald ass alopecia head.
Yeah, and they're standing there, and she's like, "Well, okay, so I'm about to die, and I have this whole I can see timelines and potential futures, and I always knew it would end here." But you also get that sense where it's like I'm dying because it's my destiny to die, even though I could just choose not to. Which is a thing I hate. I always hate that. It's like, well, it's just my time to die. Like that's stupid. That's always been stupid. But there's this one glimmer of an idea. It's like time is like going super slow because she's like, I am fundamentally still kind of afraid to die, and I'm stretching out the last moment of my life into infinity so I can procrastinate and watch the storm roll in. And she's talking to Dr. Strange. It's like, that's like neat idea, and there's like a glimmer of a feeling there.
Yeah, but then it's also kind of a ripoff of the end of Fight Club. Visually,
maybe just the shot comp is visually a little.
They're standing in front of a giant. Well, that's that's
what
we can talk about after.
I want to get to my point without getting derailed. my concluding point is
this whole podcast
that was the closest
that
movie came to making me feel something, and then of course we can't sit with that at all. The second we're done with that scene and she's dead, we get some stupid corny fucking joke because we can't sit with our emotions because we don't want anyone to get too bummed out. You can't feel too much of anything or the audience might get upset. They can't be too scared. They can't be too sad. Just a hint of emotion, and oh no, we got to stay at our median. Our fucking room temperature water all the time. And it's not that you can't have humor with tragedy and sadness. There's a type of humor that is like coherent, like when you are at a funeral and you crack a joke. I mean, that's a thing, right? Like, I don't know, like, I guess. You're mourning someone by reminiscing and joking and laughing, but it's like
I haven't done that, but a priest fell during Easter Mass at a Easter one year when I was little, and I laughed because I didn't understand that there are certain contexts in which old people falling down isn't funny. In retrospect, it is pretty funny.
When I was in elementary school, we'd always have what's the assemblies during
Oh
Remembrance
God,
Day.
assemblies.
And every Remembrance Day assembly, there'd be like some old vet would totter out on stage. There was a World War I vet was still alive when I was a kid. He's an ancient man.
It was
Totter
in the
up on
triple
stage
digits.
and tell you,
got up
about.
on. He did not get up on stage. He was
Oh, he
wheeled
did, yeah.
or no way. I refuse. He must have had like the
He's
roadie
like-
robot
Well, I mean,
legs or something.
this is like 1998 or 97
I'm
or
just
something.
picturing this
so,
old
like,
ass guy, like this skeleton in a wheelchair, being airlifted onto a stage, like or like crane lifted.
He's like in his 90s, like very ancient, but yeah. And they would actually maybe he was just a World War II. I thought it was World War One though. But what I remember they
That's
showed this
awesome.
video of footage from World War One, and because it was like very old hand cranked cameras, all the motion was like super fast motion,
Yeah.
and it gave it like a Benny Hill quality. and,
I was just thinking.
and I knew it was supposed to be somber, but I couldn't help laughing at the fast. I was like 7 years old, right? 8 years old. And just of course everybody in the fucking whole gymnasium turns to look at me and frown. It's like
you derailed an assembly.
I am a small child and all these guys are running around really fast.
It's usually accompanied by Hanna-Barbera sound effects, like the running sound effect.
Yakety sax.
I did a similar thing too, but now we're no longer talking about the movie. I was going to say, I think
it's just like, again, just like these movies, just they have no texture because texture is friction, and friction might lose somebody somewhere along the way.
Well, on that note, I wanted to talk about just how so much of this movie is pastiche, and just it's a mishmash of other things. You got The Matrix, you got Avatar: The Last Airbender, you got fucking
Star
Harry
Wars.
Potter, you got Star Wars, you got ER, Doctor House.
No, he really is. He really is doing house voice. He's doing house voice,
but not good. Like Hugh
And the
Laurie
first
has a
10
good
minutes-
American accent. And Benedict Cumberbatch.
It's a bad
Not
house
so
voice, but
much.
he's just that's why I've noticed all these movies. I mean, they're always kind of pastiche, but that's the winning formula they found is we do already existing genres of blockbuster movie and fit this. What started, I noticed that with Civil War, where it's like it's not even just one movie is a kind of homage or pastiche to one type of movie. Now it's like individual scenes or segments of the movie are like, okay, so the first 10 minutes of this are House and ER, and then the next 10 minutes are fucking goddamn Harry Potter,
Kung Fu,
and then
ninjas.
and then the next 10 minutes are gonna be. And it's like a weird thing because it's like, especially in the comics, as I understand them, I have a little familiarity. Doctor Strange is like, his whole deal is very like occult wizard chanting Latin-y sounding shit.
No, there
But he
is
learns
no
all his-
chanting.
No chanting, which
No
kind of
chanting.
sucks. No like incantations by the hoary powers of Agamemnon or whatever. Like he does that in the comics. He has like he says spells, but like and it is in the comics if I remember right. Like it's all like it's like weird because it's all very Western esoteric ish stuff. But he learns it in like in a monastery in Tibet, which I find kind of funny.
Oh, well, that was another thing. They
Not that there isn't an overlap in those things.
Well, that's something I also gauged from the production section of the Wikipedia article was I don't think they originally were going to shoot. I mean, I think it takes place in Tibet, the training shit at least, which goes on for way too fucking long in this movie. But that takes place in like Tibet in the comics. They couldn't set it in Tibet in the movie because otherwise they would get censored by the Chinese government. And there goes a huge portion of your worldwide market.
Nepal is like right there. It's geographically like the same thing.
But they couldn't call it Tibet. They couldn't, no, because a lot of these movies get just so much of their like foreign like box office market from China. Like that's the thing we haven't really discussed too much in this podcast is like, or just alluded to it, but just how these movies are also, in addition to being shot for coverage, shot and constructed in such a way that it can be tweaked and manipulated and changed for different foreign markets. So
in addition, so it's gonna say, just like never, or streaming, like you just never stop fucking with these movies because, well, they're products. They're like cars.
Yeah.
They roll off the assembly line, and you're like, well, this version we're gonna call the Fiesta, and we're gonna sell it in the United States. Then this version we're gonna like make the seat cushions a little bigger, and we're gonna call it the
Siesta.
Solstice, and we're gonna sell it in Germany. It just sucks. This is not how movies should be made or consumed. Yeah, I mean, do we want to talk about the whole, like, the ancient one's supposed to be like Asian?
Yeah, that's okay.
And
That's
Tilda
really
Swinton.
the big thing that was relevant about this movie. I remember at least it being a major topic of discussion. So this is 2016. So this is the peak of everyone getting a little nutty with it online. Identity politics, Tumblr politics, reaching a fever pitch.
Here's the thing: I'm not like frothing at the mouth,
Oh no,
mad
she's
at
great.
it. I mean, like,
I don't
but
care.
at the same time, it's also like. But here's the thing: I think maybe this was one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if it is a
that's what I was
wise
about
old
to
Asian
say.
guy,
Yeah.
people are going to yell at you for being Orientalist. But you make it Tilda Swinton, they yell at you for. I mean, you kind of just can't escape the fact that it's a product of like the 60s psychedelic new age Eastern mysticism stuff. That was just the thing. It was like, hippies would go to India and
Join a cult.
We're nothing but grains of sand.
That was freaking transcendental, Paul McCartney. Don't you agree, John Lennon?
Yes, Dewey Cox. With meditation, there's no limit to what we can imagine.
it's a little like an old Orientalist trope, the wisdom of the East. And it, of course, it finds its way into fantasy because it's like, oh, we've got this additional reservoir of the mystical to incorporate. And I mean, like, there's always been an interplay. Like, this is why cultural appropriation discourse gets kind of stupid, because all cultures exist in a state of interaction with each other.
Yeah, and cultural exchange. That's quintessential to
like
human interaction.
There's threads of Buddhism and Confucianism and all these things that made their way west to Europe and back. But at the same time, it's like, honestly, to me, it's just like, well, just if you're going to do the source material, just make it old Chinese guy.
I mean, it's
but it's also just like not worth getting mad at.
It wasn't. I think it wasn't worth the discourse that like the old Asian man stereotype would have provoked.
The Chinese fireball.
And I also think casting Tilda Swinton was part of Marvel Studios trying to do gender equality on their part.
Well, that's the thing too.
the
Like,
other
you're going to
thing.
this monastery in Nepal, which is, it should be like up on top of a mountain, like the monastery in Ace Ventura 2, but it's like in the city.
I was gonna say like Black Narcissus, but you brought out the low culture example.
Well, there's a scene in Ace Ventura 2 when he's leaving the monastery, and he's like, wait, there's one more thing I've got to do. And he runs, it's got like that long staircase.
Oh,
and he runs a slinky down it.
that
And then it stops at the very last step. It's like, it was right there. It's a very stupid movie, but I really loved it when I was like 6 years old, so I still got like the whole thing embedded in my brain.
Is that one as viciously transphobic as the first one?
No, it's just like
good.
racist instead.
Oh,
Well, it's weird because it's like, it's racist in like a really goofy, not thinking about stereotypes way. But then it's also like the bad guy is like a British colonial aristocrat
does
in
Jim,
Kenya.
Does
so-
Jim Carrey do brown face at all?
No,
Any brown?
no, it's not that. But it's there's a lot of other stuff in there. It's a kind of amazing that movie exists. Like, you watch it now and it's like such a product of a different era. There's a whole series. He's like spying on I don't know where he got. He's like spying on these like poacher guys, and he's in like an animatronic stealth rhinoceros to disguise himself on the plains.
Does he come out of its ass? Is that a screenshot?
Yeah, the little fan breaks, and he gets too hot, and he strips off his clothes, and then the door won't open, so he finds like a little hole in the latex out the back, and he peels it open, and there's like some tourists like, oh look, the rhino's giving birth, and he's ripping his way out of the latex all naked. And all the people watching are all horrified.
You're unintentionally also provoking me to. I'm gonna spoil my watch something else a little early, but my watch something else is movie just released a remaster of Lars von Trier's The Kingdom, which is basically Danish Twin Peaks, and the first season ends with the most shocking birth scene I think I've ever witnessed with my two eyes. I'm just going to say it involves Udo Kier and leave it at that. And things coming out of holes weirdly. Shit, what else is... you know who's also in Doctor Strange? Michael Stolberg, who's in Bones and All, which is a movie that is going to be in theaters by the time this comes out that I really, really enjoyed. He gets to do... he has very little screen time, but he gets to do fun shit in it. He doesn't get to do nothing in this. He gets less to do than Regina George. He just kind of...
Oh, yeah, that's the love interest. God, she just doesn't matter in this movie.
I looked it up. She's at least named after one of the characters that was known as Night Nurse, which is one of those older comic book properties.
Yeah,
I think she was,
the kind of comics they'd make aimed at girls.
Yeah, she, like, her whole thing was she's a doctor,
a night nurse
that specializes in treating, like, superheroes. I guess she's often in, like, the Daredevil universe continuity. But that's...
that character's in the Daredevil show, and that's Rosario Dawson, if I remember right.
Or at least she's one of the other. There were several characters that went by the moniker of Night Nurse. Or okay. I don't know. I just kind of glanced through the Wikipedia page, but just another example of taking a female character, at least a property, like something that a character you could easily expand upon. Like, this is the opposite of like the Peggy like development, where, you know, you have this like very minor character, or at least I think she had at least this Night Nurse lady or ladies or whatever had their own series going for a little while, so was comparatively better known as an IP within Marvel than like Peggy. But it's just we're taking the name of this character because it's gonna be recognizable to Marvel heads, and just going to do nothing of it other than to just have her be in here so we can not allow a Benedict Cumberbatch, Mads Mikkelsen fanfic slash fest to develop out of this.
All these movies just have so many elements that are kind of perfunctory. Like, we don't need her or Mads Mikkelsen. Like, he doesn't really matter in this movie either.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Doctor Strange, in his... like, his plot arc would make way more sense if in his pursuit to heal his crippled hands, he actually, like, is the one that, like, opens the gate to Dormammu or whatever and then has to fix it. The Mads Mikkelsen and his goons are totally unnecessary other than to just have a bad guy and have a pretext for a couple fight scenes, which you could figure out elsewise.
Which is also a shame because Mads Mikkelsen is a great fucking actor.
And he's wearing even more eyeshadow in this than he does in Death Stranding.
He's got like Euphoria eye makeup on. Like Euphoria eye makeup before Euphoria eye makeup. Just glittery purple shadow. It's running down his cheeks. It just looked like he walked out of like a rave. Just like a no, it's like someone who went to a anime convention dressed as like someone from Dragon Ball or Avatar or whatever, and then went to the like rave on like the set, like the night before the last day of the con,
Yeah.
That's
Hold on.
what he looked like.
So the guy that played Wong in this, and Wong in the comics was kind of like his sidekick guy, which I mean, it's fine to make him not his sidekick. I can understand we don't want to do that.
No, we have another black friend for
Benedict
Dr.
Wong.
Oh.
So we've got
Benedict
a guy named
Cumberbatch
Wong,
and Benedict
played
Wong.
guy named Wong, who's also named Benedict, which is the same name as the guy. That's weird. Isn't that weird? Imagine having two guys named Benedict in the same room. How the fuck often does that happen? One of them's Chinese. Chinese guy named Benedict.
I don't know why that made me laugh so hard, but just like I was about to say, like, maybe at some point in like British history there was probably a room full of Benedicts or whatever, but as soon as you're like, what kind of Chinese guy is named Benedict?
I don't know. I assume his parents immigrated somewhere. He's from
Maybe.
Hong Kong
I don't know.
But it's
I
just
read
like there aren't that many guys named Benedict.
I read that he really,
but it's just
like,
the string
lobbied
of
for a part
coincidences in name. I mean, he's good.
He's
I can
just
see why
kind
he'd
of
want to
there to be delivered one-liners.
Well, I mean, the material's super thin and bad again.
Like the whole, what's your name? Wong? What is that? Like Adele? Beyonce?
Oh God, yeah. Oh wow, it's amazing. You've got a one-named character. They must have been calling him Wong on set because the other guy's named Benedict. So you can't be also calling him Benedict. So you call him by his last name. But
unless
then that's
it was
also
like
his character.
a Benny or a B or Dict.
Yeah, do you think either of them, Cumberbatch or Wong, go by like Benny or Ben or Benzie? Dick?
I would say
Dickie,
Benedict
Dicty.
Cumberbatch maybe goes by Benny. That feels like a very British sort of like cutesy nickname. Like, oh, it's Benny. Oh, Benny. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but
What's the diminutive of Chiwetel, do you think?
Chewy.
You think people call him Chewy? I was thinking, yeah, you'd have to call him Chewy, right?
He's Chewy. It's the service that delivers food and overpriced medication for your pets. Chewy. Fucking hate Chewy. They suck. Don't use Chewy. As somebody who worked in an animal hospital where we frequently had to approve or deny Chewy requests for prescriptions, and Chewy's HR is terrible, as is their IT. Don't order through Chewy. Fuck Chewy. Anyways.
So let's see what the top critics on Rotten Tomatoes have to say about Doctor Strange.
You know what? I'm also going to bring up the Letterboxd page, and this is
good call. Yeah, I'm
going to go through some reviews.
More time on the cultural response to these movies because that's probably more interesting than the movies in a lot of cases.
This movie is not interesting.
No. So it's interesting. So it's like on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 89%.
What?
Certified fresh.
89?
But here's the thing. This is the thing about Rotten Tomatoes is that a lot of the fresh reviews are just like,
Yeah, and they submit them. No, you know why? Because like when you submit a review to be considered in Rotten Tomatoes, like first of all, like I'm not tomato approved because and I frankly I don't care.
The tomato does not approve of
the tomato does not approve of me because I only really have written for one like eligible movie review platform. A couple of people who also write for the Arts Fuse are Rotten Tomatoes like associated or eligible because that's their full-time job and they publish on a lot more platforms. I think Kathy's even tomato approved, maybe, or at least knowing her output, she'd definitely be eligible. But yeah, the thing with the Rotten Tomatoes score is like when you submit a review for approval, it gives you like, is this a positive or is this a negative? And so people will submit, even if it's like a really middling one that's really critical, they'll still submit it as a positive because it's kind of like a 51-49% kind of thing.
So like an 89% movie is like, yeah, like that's so dumb That's why Rotten Tomatoes is stupid. But let's look at some
here
excerpts
yes,
from reviews.
And I have a I already have a top contender because this is one of the most popular Letterboxd reviews.
Okay,
but I'm gonna
do. I'll do. So one here. This one isn't really remarkable on its own. It's just indicative of what a lot of the fresh reviews are of. It's not great storytelling, but at least it's good spectacle. Well, it's not good spectacle. I don't know. I don't know how people are impressed by this stuff. It's just not that interesting to look at. Stephanie Zacharek from Time Magazine says, Cumberbatch, both a natural comedian and a subtle one, knows how to get a big laugh from nothing more than an arched eyebrow. Wrong! Even Scott Tobias from NPR, even with the fate of the entire universe at stake, Derrickson keeps the tone appealingly light and jokey. No, when the entire universe is at stake, you want to feel those stakes. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, also, why does every single one of these need to put the entire universe at stake if that's the tone you're going for? Like, yeah.
Okay, well, this is I'll
Kip Mooney. College movie review.
That is not that guy's name.
There hasn't
Kip
been
Mooney.
Rating A-. There hasn't been a blockbuster that grapples with faith on this scale since The Matrix.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the hell are you talking about?
Who is this Kip Mooney?
Kip Mooney, college movie review.
I gotta look this guy up because that's insane.
Chat.
Oh no, he has a Twitter. Who
the hell get it? You know what? There's something slightly amusing to me about a guy named Benedict Wong. At least in a movie with another guy named Benedict, where he's also playing a guy named Wong. But Kip Mooney is on another level. Who the fuck's naming their kid Kip? Who's doing that?
What
the fuck is wrong with you naming your kid Kip? Who's looking at a little beautiful little brand new baby and thinking like, that's a Kip. I'm holding a little Kip in my arms. Like, the fuck? You're a monster.
Can I read this is a like over 1,000 people have liked this, like 4 out of 5 review. It's like one of the most popular reviews on Letterboxd for Doctor Strange. This is by a guy named Dirk H, and his top 4 favorite movies really indicate to me that he should know better.
Who the fuck being named Dirk either?
I don't know.
What the fuck are you doing?
Okay, if you're
Dirk and Kip.
If your top 4 favorite films are Wreck Mr. Harmony's Synechdoche, New York, Leviathan, and 2046, like you should not be.
Run that. Say that again.
Synechdoche.
Synechdoche. Synechdoche.
I really fucked myself up with that one. Just
Synechdoche.
2 hours later. 6.5 hours later.
It's a pun on Synechdoche.
I've never used that word in casual conversation in my life, though.
You have a master's degree. I dropped out of a game design program.
2,000 years later.
That was funnier than any of the jokes in Doctor Strange.
That was funnier than anything in Doctor Strange. Okay, so Dirk H wrote, this was definitely published on like a preview screening because this is dated October 27th, 2016. People will complain about the Marvel template and the predictability of the origin story plot, and they'd be right. It's all there. A fact that obviously isn't that strange, as it is both a Marvel film and an origin story. We get the hero discovering himself, the love interest and the world-threatening villain. It's all there for us to roll our eyes at and have us complain about how Marvel is destroying the cinematic landscape. Okay, dog, I'm with you. But here's the thing. Doctor Strange is bonkers. It goes so many weird places it leaves those complaints behind as an afterthought. Sir, what is your definition of bonkers here?
These motherfuckers like the craziest movie they've ever seen before this was like, God, not even The Matrix. Like, I don't know, Lawnmower Man.
Like, no, but like, dude, like, bonkers is not. Oh, this is so safe and mediocre and conventional. Okay. One of Marvel's
people with perfectly smooth brains love to describe something like an MC Escher drawing as bonkers.
One of Marvel's most bizarre superheroes, Strange is given life to by an outstanding interpretation of Cumberbatch and writer-director Derrickson. The biggest fear I had was that we'd get a Stark 2.0, which we did, but less interesting or charming or engaging. Thankfully, Strange here is presented as I know him from the comics. Arrogant, yes, but ultimately a man of control with a sense of moral. As Strange follows the obligatory steps to become the hero he is, Derrickson does two things to make this one of the most refreshing and gutsy blockbusters of recent years. First, the visuals. Derrickson does things here that are just insane. His visualization of the multiverse is superb, and there are sequences in this film that are jaw-droppingly spectacular and bizarre. Another thing that struck me in this department was that Derrickson wasn't afraid to portray his horror roots. It's definitely the most graphic Marvel film out there. Not that it's gory, but it doesn't play it safe either. Did maybe because this is like a like
there's a guy who's never seen anything but Marvel movies.
Well, this is also like this guy. I'm wondering, did he watch like a different cut of the movie? Because this was reviewed like before the like official release days, so this was like a pre-screening.
I mean, is it just thinking? I mean, Tilda Swinton smacking through that glass awning into the ground has a little bit of impact. I guess that's it.
No, you saw me the whole time. Tilda Swinton was on screen. I was just like, "Come on, Madame Blanc, give me some human origami. Give me more. Give me smoking."
All the original Star Wars movies are like more impactfully violent, and they're almost totally bloodless.
Okay, I'm gonna skip the rest of this, but he ends it as. Do yourself a favor, accept that these films will never be perfect due to their formula, but in this particular case, allow yourself to be swept along by what is assuredly an off-kilter fun-as-hell ride. I really wonder if this guy stands by this review, because this is again a review from like 2016.
These have to be bought and paid for reviews, right? Because like anybody who's like, these trippy visuals are so insane, it's like,
let me look at more recent.
You're a film reviewer, you've never seen 2001: A Space Odyssey? Because if you've seen Inception, the Stargate sequence from 2001, and The Matrix, you've seen everything this movie does done better.
I'm trying to. I'm just. Let me see what I have, like, or what this gives me for more recent.
While you do that, I've got the full Kit Mooney review.
Oh boy!
And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slender paragraphs. Most of it recapping the movie. It's barely a review. He has nothing. Here just isn't incoherent too.
All right, quote us, King.
The biggest surprise has to do with how explicitly spiritual the film is, even if it's a big mix of Eastern and Western religions and philosophical mumbo jumbo. There hasn't been a blockbuster that grapples with faith. So you just said it's nonsense mumbo jumbo. So how does that second sentence follow from the first? The spirituality in this movie is just like the same shit you hear when you tell your aunt that like psychics aren't real. It's like, well, how do you know? Your science can't prove the unprovable. You don't know with 100% certainty that like things don't exist that you can't prove don't exist. So they can exist. Open your mind, open your third eye. And it's all just bullshit meant to square the sci-fi pretensions of the other films with this movie having overt magic. That's the sole purpose it serves. There's no philosophical fucking discussion at work.
And it also still has to be like scientific, guys.
Yeah,
too.
There is still that like new like that. Like you see that with a lot of new age stuff. That like sheen of pseudoscience trying to square the circle there, which I think is kind of a boring way to approach magic. I think if you're going to approach magic, it should be it has to have like a kind of logic, but the logic should be a kind of like thematic, psychological, symbolic one. Not your brain can make your molecules do stuff in your cells, and therefore it's just science that we don't understand. Like, this is very boring.
Well,
to
there
me.
was another thing I read up on in that book I mentioned last episode. Is there's a whole chapter on like we already know how much Marvel works with like the military industrial.
The last thing about Kip Mooney.
And then
is his author bio is almost as long as his review.
Okay, well, that's all right. He can. Maybe he has stuff to plug.
Holy shit! No, I want to read this because this is really funny for a guy to write such a slight review with a completely unbacked conclusion to draw at the end, and then have this long like I'm just gonna read it. We can cut you can cut this if it sucks, but I just want to read through this. This is like amazingly self-indulgent.
Well, wait, what's the date on the review?
This is from when the movie. This is from just after the movie came out.
Okay,
November 3rd,
we should like that in the last review. We should preface this with like people's opinions change. These might not be their opinions now. They might even think these movies suck now, which I wouldn't be surprised. So we're all allowed to. Most of us had a Marvel phase. So Kip Mooney, if you're listening, we're sorry for making fun of your admittedly funny name, Kip Mooney.
Ex-evangelical. I found his Twitter. He has tomato meter approved critic.
A lot of them do. A lot of them do.
I'm so proud that the tomato has approved of me. He's probably a nice enough guy, but this is just really funny that this is such a bad review with such a long. His author bio is like a fucking autobiography. Like many critics born during and after the 1980s, my hero is Roger Ebert. The man was already the best critic in the nation when he won the Pulitzer in 1975, but his indomitable spirit during and after his recent battle with cancer keeps me bumming back to read not only his reviews, but his insightful commentary on the everyday. But enough about a guy you know a lot about. I knew I was going to be a film critic. Some would say a snob in middle school. Yeah, you're such a snob. You're slobbering all over fucking Marvel movies. When I had to voraciously defend my position that Oral Tenenbaums was only 1,000,000 times better than Adam Sandler's remake of Mr. Deeds. What? What kind of argument? What?
Mr. Deeds.
Why would you be having that argument? There's apple and oranges movies. From then on, I would seek out Wes Anderson's films and avoid Sandler's like the plague. Still, I like to think of myself as a populist. Then you're not a snob. And I'll be just as likely to see the next superhero movie as the next Sundance sensation. The thing I most deplore in a movie is laziness. Well, then why do you love these Marvel movies? I'd much rather see movies with big ambitions try and fail than movies with no ambitions succeed simply existing. Then why do you like Marvel movies? I'm also a big advocate of fun, bad movies like The Room and most of Nicolas Cage's. Okay, Nicolas Cage has been in a lot of really good movies. Fuck off.
I mean, I understand where he's coming from in the sense that, like, Nicolas Cage would, for just because he spent so much money buying a pyramid, just was taking whatever role came his way. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still going through. I'm like,
I'd love to write and talk about film full time. I'm skipping his resume section.
Yeah,
I'd love to talk about film full time, but until that's a viable career option, I work as an auditor for Wells Fargo.
Oh,
one way to meet my hero, go to the Toronto International Film Festival and compete on Jeopardy.
Oh no, dude, you don't admit that. Oh, Kip. Okay, I was kind of like defending you a little bit, but no.
I feel like this is like peak. Like this is probably like the most average, like Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes certified, fills out the review score generator, but writes for some website you've never heard of, like Film Critic. Like this is the medium. This is the median film critic. This is 90% of the guys that make a Metacritic score or a Rotten Tomatoes score are all this guy. This probably came from a well-off family, is named something like Kip or Dirk or fuck it, probably Benedict, and has some cushy fucking Wall Street job. And he loves movies, but he doesn't know anything about him. And he's like, oh, I'm a populist, but I'm also a snob, and I hate Adam Sandler, but I love fucking Marvel movies.
I wonder if he liked
Uncut Gems.
Right. So, but I just found a really good one. It's short but sweet. This is a 5-star review from August of this year. Very well paced. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. Wife recommended, as she says she wished she married Doctor Strange instead of me. We have been married for 35 years, and this was quite sad news to me, but he can travel across universes, so it's not unreasonable.
Okay, sorry, run that by me again?
Wife recommended, as she says she wished she married Doctor Strange instead of me. We have been married for 35 years, and this is quite sad news to me, but he can travel across universes, so it's not unreasonable.
Okay. What?
there was no punctuation there, by the way. I wasn't just trying to be funny. There was no punctuation there. Just a full run-on sentence.
Is this a popular review?
No, this is a recent review, but let me.
Oh, okay. It's just a straight up.
Let me switch back to. Shit, I don't know how to. Fucking Letterboxd. Please make your review sorting capabilities much better, because all I'm just looking at are like one sentence reviews from like people in Brazil, and I'm like, I don't speak Portuguese. I don't know what that says. A bunch of them are just like Dr. Daddy Strange is so sexy. DILF. I fucking love Daddy Strange. She is so fun, damn hot, and can ever get him. He is so hot in every film, photo, and series.
This is just what you sound like talking about Captain America movies, though. So you can't.
You know what? It does.
Here, I've got one from Matthew Licona, which sounds like
that sounds like an STD.
As a Christian allegory, director Scott Derrickson's version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is impressively thorough. As a movie, it's silly, sloppy, and spectacular. Here's the thing.
Send that to me. Send that to me right now.
Certified fresh, original score 2 out of 5. That's under 50%, man. What?
That's the Rotten Tomatoes.
But I feel like do people just have to? They can say whatever they want about the movie as long as they certify it fresh. They won't get their like press pass revoked. Like, is that how this works? I need someone in the industry to explain what the payola is with this.
I'm just hung mechanism. Up on as a Christian allegory. Dude, what the fuck are you talking about?
Impressively thorough. Nothing about this movie is thorough. There's like, there's a guy who only cares about himself, learns to sacrifice himself for the greater good, which is letting Dormammu kill him 500 times in a interdimension, that is just kind of an old Star Trek episode. There's a guy who's the end of the episode is this guy is locked in a battle with his like bizarro dimension evil self in like a place between dimensions for all eternity.
Oh my god!
Because
we really are turning into half of the bag, because now you're talking about Star Trek, and I'm just checking out.
I watched original series first thing in the morning all the time when I was a little kid. And there's a few episodes like in moments I still like remember pretty vividly, and that's one of them.
And that's it.
Doctor Strange is cast down from his throne, seeks healing from a keeper of ancient spiritual wisdom and power, comes to believe in a world beyond his senses, learns that strength comes from humility, and finally finds that he's been subtly recruited into a titanic struggle between good and evil. The bad guy promises nothing less than eternal life. That's what Jesus promises. You've got it flipwise, man. Jesus is the one promising eternal life through faith in him. What? I don't think this guy understands this movie or Christianity.
I'm like, what fucking Christian allegory?
This whole review is just like a longish paragraph too. Like, people are making really big pronouncements about the religious or spiritual content of this movie and not backing it up at all. It's really funny.
This is a very Zoomer review I'm looking at right here.
Manola Dargis, which I almost read as Manola Dargis with an H after the O, so I read it as Manhola at first. So visually transfixing, so beautiful and nimble, you might briefly forget the brand.
Okay, Manhola.
Amy Nicholson, MTV, defiantly old school, not the cozy apple-scented nostalgia of the first Capitol America film, but that cold back of the library whiff of eraser nubs and mold. What the fuck are you talking about? Where are you getting that? I guess there's a library with old books in the movie
for like
where some of them are chained up,
maybe?
which again is like Harry Potter
Yeah.
shit, like straight up. We've got the library, we've got the special books only the masters are allowed to look at, and they're literally chained up because they're so powerful and evil. The 14th installment of the ever-expanding MCU, this is A.A. Dowd for the AV Club, is the first to really exploit the possibilities of CGI. Okay. Sure. All right.
Well, here's a very Zoomer review I found. This is also 5 stars from this year. I'm just gonna quote the end of this. This is like Matrix, but better. That talk about relics? LOL, hold your
This
something
is bait.
horses.
This is fucking
No,
bait.
this is
no way someone actually believes this.
No, this is like a 17, 15, 16-year-old girl. Also, the scene in which the cape caught him was so cool. I became excited since it looked so badass. 1 second later, I went, oh, that's his relic, right? Right? Chills. If it's not, I'll pretend it is.
The whole like, you'll get a relic and it'll select you. That's just the wands in fucking Harry Potter.
That's exactly, those are the wands in Harry Potter. There's not an original idea in this movie. Or at least when it tries to be, like, the one thing I will, like the one thing that was interesting is, apart from the, like, you know, time magic, like the apple, and then using that to defeat the big giant bowling ball alley carpet monster in the sky, was just the, like,
I mean, there was a couple moments where,
I
like,
actually forget what I was
they're
saying.
fighting while Hong Kong is rebuilding itself as time goes backwards, and like one guy gets sucked into a wall, and that shit gets sucked into an aquarium as it, like, all the water gets sucked back in, because they used, like, some of it was CGI, but they used just like actual reverse film of just things breaking, which, you know, has actually made it, like, my eyes not totally side of it. But again, that's 30 seconds of something kind of neat in a 100-minute movie. Also, that thing of, like, I'll trap you in a time loop where you kill me over and over and over again until you get bored. I swear I've seen that in other things before. I can't remember where, but that is not an unfamiliar concept. I feel like that's they talk about Dan Harmon was brought in to do
that too,
script punching up. That feels like a Dan Harmon idea to me. Dan Harmon is a guy that, like, pulls a lot of material from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for, like, Rick and Morty and stuff, so, like, that feels like one of his things to me. I don't know for sure. That would be my guess.
Well, it said he also consulted on some of the science stuff, which is like, why are you asking Dan Harmon? He just does the funny part.
I used to listen to his podcast. He doesn't know anything about science. He's just watched and read some classic science fiction.
Yeah. So, and then he did some punching up.
His whole obsession is Joseph Campbell and plot structure and archetypes. That's his, like, his autistic fixation.
Sorry, I'm trying to, you know who we haven't asked their opinion about on this movie on Letterboxd, and I'm trying to find the review because there's so many reviews by this damn guy. That guy that our boy Blaze,
5 stars every Marvel movie.
Okay, well, I can tell you he gave Doctor Strange 4.5 stars out of 5. I would like to see his review, please. Please, I would like to see it. All right, I can't find it through there.
Yep, follow him on Letterboxd and he'll appear on your friends' reviews.
Oh, I should do that. Yeah, you know what? I'll do that to be like, ooh, who's this? It's just like I'm like hate following you, dude.
I don't even hate him because he's not like a movie critic like anything. He's just a guy.
Oh, okay. We got our signature. Oh, we also have he has a Benedict Cumberbatch ranked list. Let's see.
And is it gonna be half his appearances in Marvel movies?
Yes. No, literally yes. Like, half of the movies on here are Marvel movies. Like, not even joking.
Is like The Imitation Game or any of his dramas or anything even on there?
No. Imitation Game is not on there. You know what? 12 Years a Slave is on there. Atonement, where he plays the rapist. Was he even in 1917? Because it's on here. He has Penguins of Madagascar ranked higher than Atonement. But
he was in 1917.
For me, Doctor Strange was always a fringe character until this film's release. I never really had enough interest in the character to dig into his origin, antagonists, or plots at all until this MCU introduction of the character. Regardless, this one struck me as much better than I expected it to be from the get-go, as I remember distinctly thinking this might be Marvel's first Green Lantern-esque letdown. How much... I'm wondering, what was his rating for the Green Lantern movie? Maybe, like, no lower than, like, a 3 out of 5. I don't think this guy has met a
This guy's
superhero
never
movie.
not liked a superhero movie, I don't think.
While the specific science fiction / fantasy jargon babble makes little sense to explain the tremendous visual effort of the action sequences, the film really does have enormous aesthetic appeal through the high CGI sequences, which in itself is both typically hard to pull off and characteristic of modern Marvel's high standard of visual effects. Also, think of all the poor, overworked, underpaid South Korean CGI effects artists that were exploited to do a rip-off Inception scene.
Just guys getting paid peanuts to work 12 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week to just do fractals and shit. Wait, what was it? There was one moment that actually was like kind of funny to me, where he's got like fractal baby hands coming off his fingers and little baby hands coming off their fingers. That was
cool, but it would have been a lot cooler if they were maybe like puppet fingers or something, or at least more funny or whatever. Anyways, Blaze continues. All this made for a fantastic Act 3, even if this origin story, like many other origin stories, had a slower first half. Then, dude, we're like, he gets into his car accident like not even 15 minutes into the movie. We were shocked.
It is like it's like there's too much origin story. Like this is an origin story movie, and so there's too much of it to just skip the origin and go do the thing. But there's also, it's too rushed for you to be engaged with it because it's so perfunctory. Because it is like it's Batman Begins kind of like, you know. He goes off and goes in a lot like half the movies, like going to a monastery and learning your powers and shit before going back to save the day. Like they're kind of doing, in addition to Harry Potter and Star Wars, they're doing Batman Begins.
Yeah, it's also Batman Begins. It's also Star Wars. Like it's one of those movies you watch and you're thinking of a much better movie you could be watching. Or
yeah, and I don't mean like, oh, this movie has, like, all movies are influenced by other movies, of course, now, but I mean, it's like in a really obvious kind of way, like in a very technical, like surgically removing the pieces that we want to assemble this thing way. I'm looking at Letterboxd reviews, trying to find another one, and somebody, as an example of dialogue I thought was really funny, quoted like what I thought was like unfunny about this movie, which is where Mads Mikkelsen first meets Doctor Strange, and he's like, he calls him Mr. and Doctor Strange corrects him, it's Doctor. And he calls him Mr. Doctor. He says, it's strange. And he says, maybe who am I to judge? Which, I mean, I'll admit, I barely cracked a grin at the maybe who am I to judge, just because Mads' delivery is really, really, like, he's good at being wry, but it's like really annoying. Just, I don't know, really annoying fucking bad Abbott and Costello.
Okay,
who's on first.
but
shit.
Yeah, well, the gold standard, as far as I'm concerned, for that kind of dialogue is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. The part where the himbo guy goes, she gets knocked on the head by a falling marquee letter, and he's like, "Oh, how's your head?" And she goes, "I haven't gotten any plaints."
See, I mean, it's not that you can't do that style of dialogue. You just have to, well, one, do it well, and two, it has to fit in the characters and the context of the movie. And in movies like this, like Doctor Strange is just like arrogant Dr. House rip-off doctor, and then halfway through the movie he becomes like mumbly stream of consciousness awkward guy whenever the movie decides that, oh, we need that style of humor. And it's like everybody kind of talks the same when the movie decides it needs that style of joke. It's never specific to a character or a moment where it's kind of coherent.
Is there anything else to really discuss about this movie?
We just kind of made fun of movie critics for half an hour because there's really so little to say about it.
The only in the long game, the only reason this movie matters is because it's firm set up for the multiverse shit. That's it.
Yeah, and they just need another guy.
They need another
because,
guy.
Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. are gradually phasing out. We need a guy who can justify how we can put all the other Spider-Mans in our Spider-Man movie in 6 years.
But that would also presume they planned that far ahead, which we know they don't. Like, when people talk about Marvel's, like, planning of their cinematic universe, they're giving way too much credit to
I'd say they have notions of like,
they have notions
if we introduce the multiverse, we can have all of this extra IP interaction, but like that's like as far as it goes. There's like we've seen Kevin Feige just pops in the writer's room and says, oh, we're doing this now.
War.
We're doing that now. Oh, we don't even redo the script because we don't know if we're gonna get this actor. Oh, we got that actor. Redo it again. And that's again why these movies are so unsatisfying and insubstantive. Is even if you wanted to make like a well-written, carefully structured movie with really nice, tight cinematography, you couldn't, because that requires planning, that requires committing at least somewhat to a script and a storyboard in pre-production and making it in a way where you can't completely just rearrange the movie like Lego bricks a week before release.
Can we talk about other movies now?
Let's go on to our watch something else.
Don't care about. Well, I mean, this is one of those movies that I just thought about a bunch of different movies I would rather be watching while watching this.
If you've watched movies in the last 20, 30 years, or just like in the last 5 years, but just watched like historically good movies from recent history, you've seen this movie 1,000 times.
Pretty much.
You've seen Harry Potter, you've seen Star Wars, you've seen The Matrix, you've seen Batman Begins, you've seen
insert hospital
Sliders.
drama. Sliders?
The TV show from the 90s where the fat kid from
some Canadian
Stand By Me goes through parallel dimensions every episode.
Okay,
goes
this is
into a new
clearly some Canadian
universe.
shit.
No, it's a TV show in the 90s.
Sliders?
Sliders, because every episode they slide into a new parallel dimension.
What if you found a portal to a parallel universe? What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home?
I'm having this mental image of like this little fat kid like squeezing through one of the Doctor Strange portals.
I'm trying to remember
stuck,
what
like Winnie the Pooh.
By the time that show came out, he was like a hot Chad guy, but he was the fat kid Vern from Stand By Me.
Okay.
What's his name? I think it's Patrick something.
Well, anyways, the goes without saying, but the superior Doctor Strange movie is
Jerry O'Connell.
Okay, cool. Hi, Jerry. Whatever you're doing now, hope you're doing good. Sorry I called you fat. But the gold standard for any Doctor Strange movie is Doctor Strange Love, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Which that's also like one of those movies that I feel like counts as like
he's married to Rebecca Romijn. Nice.
Oh shit. Okay.
No, yeah. Well, after Stand By Me, he became a chap.
Okay. But like, would you agree in the sense like both the politically, like in terms of like both its political satire aimed at the whole military warmongering process, as well as just like its stylistics that just by those virtues alone, Doctor Strangelove is also like an anti-MCU movie.
Well, I mean, it's a Stanley Kubrick movie, and a Stanley Kubrick movie is categorically the exact opposite kind of movie.
Also, Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers.
Nothing I could say about that.
Peter Sellers as Doctor Strangelove, a lot hotter than Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Sorry.
What about Doctor Normal Hate?
Normal Hate. Doctor
Unusual Ambivalence.
Doctor Weird Lust.
Weird Lust.
I used all two of my brain cells to put that together. Doctor Weird Lust.
That's you. You're Dr. Weird Lust.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone listening to this will have seen Doctor Strangelove.
You never know, especially for like a black and white movie from the early mid 1960s.
Well, it's also one of those movies that's just like continually timeless. Like it was made in like the 60s, but you watch it now and I'm like, this is talking about right here, right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's and it is. Yeah, it's very funny and it's very it's watching it, as silly as it all seems, it's a lot more realistic to
absolutely.
The mentality of the people who like rule the world and have their finger on the button than you would ever want to think.
Yeah, no, Kubrick was right. Our entire
scary.
The entire like nations are just run by giant man babies who point and go, "He'll see the big board."
Well, that can't be helped. Have him brought down here straight away.
Yes, sir.
Is that the Russian ambassador you're talking about?
Yes, it is, General.
Am I to understand the Russian ambassador is to be admitted entrance to the war room?
That is correct. He is here on my orders.
I don't know exactly how to put this, sir, but are you aware of what a serious breach of security that would be? I mean, he'll see everything. He'll see the big board.
That is precisely the idea, General. That is precisely the idea.
Google Curtis LeMay if you want to have a good time. Complete fucking psychopath, and he was the man in charge of, like, he's the guy that the guy in the movie who loses it is based on. Like, he's a complete psychopath.
I mean, I would also, before I do kind of want to talk a little bit more about the Kingdom, just to, because it does have connections in terms of like the hospital stuff. I would also literally recommend any other Tilda Swinton movie, especially like Tilda Swinton's work with like Derek Jarman, which was where she got her start.
Go watch the autobiography of a real person, Tar.
I haven't seen Tar yet. So I can't weigh in on the discourse.
No, I'm just thinking of that person that was like shocked that it wasn't a real person, that like did not like struggled to understand the idea that a fictional movie could be plausible, I guess.
Oh, there are a lot of baby-brained people out there.
Really?
But yeah, Tilda Swinton is good in everything she's in because she's fucking Tilda Swinton. But if you want stunning imagery with Tilda Swinton in it, Suspiria or Derek Jarman.
Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, Chronicles of Narnia.
No, don't watch that. That's
just watch Tilda Swinton scenes. Just watch her scenes. She serves cunt in that movie. And I do definitely want to highly, highly, highly recommend, especially if you have a Mubi account, and I think it might even be on Canopy. Lars Van Trier's The Kingdom. Lars Van Trier, as some of you may know, he kind of came out as he's sick right now. I think it's is it ALS? I think he has, or MS.
Oh shit.
Which fucking sucks. You know, not to say that Lars Van Trier has always been a cool guy. Like, you know, shit with Bjork was very
that's a rough disturbing. Fucking thing to deal with. Though. That's
but you can't say Lars Trier doesn't make like balls to the wall shit. I think after I watched Europa, I think my Letterboxd review was that is Lars Van Trier is the Azealia Banks of cinema. I'm not going to explain because you know exactly what I mean. And yeah, The Kingdom is basically Lars Van Trier's Twin Peaks. It starts out as a medical, like, ER hospital drama with some supernatural elements, and God, I kind of, you know what? I'm gonna allow myself to spoil this.
Look, okay.
I'm gonna spoil it because yes, because it's
no,
been
I'm
out
gonna
for like
watch it.
30
I'm gonna watch
years.
it. I don't want it.
Oh,
Here, Nicole, I'll watch it. I'll
wait,
watch
cover
it.
your ears. Cover your ears. And
I'll watch it. We'll do a Patreon episode on The Kingdom. We'll do first half will be public, second half on season 2.
I need to tell people about the cliffhanger. Take your headphones off so you don't hear it, because I need to.
Here, I'll
sell it to
mute
them.
you. Just give me like an okay sign when
Okay.
you're done with the spoiler.
Okay, guys, for real, you need to watch The Kingdom, because at the end of the
Good
first,
thing I can't read lips.
At the end of the first season, a woman gives birth to, and at the beginning of the second season, starts to develop this fucked up. It's like his head on like a fucked up. I'm flabbergasted, and it works. You think that sounds ridiculous? It is, but you know what? It works.
That was really funny because I just watched you getting really excited and animated and clapping and throwing your arms around.
It's really worth being excited. Like when you watch it, and you reach that like end of the first season cliffhanger, you're gonna know why I am amped.
Okay, yeah, I'll bump that up the list.
It's like
I'm in the mood for something like that.
Knock the jaw out of its hinges sort of moment. It's
like the Return episode 8.
Yes.
Oh wow! All right.
Yes. I mean, it's a little goofier, but it's on the par of like legendary, like, you know, how's Annie sort of cliffhangers where it's very abrupt, but it's also got that. Let's just say an actor I really love comes out of an unexpected place.
Alrighty, yeah. I have like all my suggestions are just like the things that the movie rips off inferiorly that I mentioned earlier. You know, go watch. I think I'll try to remember to link that "Let Forever Be" music video.
Yeah,
because that's a really cool music video, and it does like the same stuff in a more interesting way and with less use of digital effects and a much smaller budget. Well, I was exactly, but it's like the similar-ish kind of kaleidoscope coming in on itself imagery. I'm trying to think, actually, was there anything else like
stuff about wizards?
I feel like I could say like the Ralph Bakshi Wizards movie. I've never actually seen it, so
I would like to see it too. I mean, there's always my theoretical Ken Russell directed Doctor Strange movie starring Udo Kier and Tim Curry. Like, God, I want that to be real. I literally manifested that entire movie in my head, just thinking about, I'd be so much more entertained if Udo Kier was in this, and Tim Curry, and it started because I was like, who would be better at like mugging around in a cape? And just Tim Curry instantly comes to mind, because there's that video of him singing the spooky song in the cape.
Yeah, I need to watch more Ken Russell movies. I gotta have Altered States on my computer. I gotta watch that.
I've been telling you to watch Altered States.
I want to watch Lair
months.
of the White Worm at some point.
Lair of the White Worm. I like. There's just one performance. It's Catherine Oxenberg's performance is just so fucking bad. Like, there are points where she's clearly being overdubbed because maybe she couldn't remember her lines or couldn't pronounce them or whatever. Would it also surprise you that same actress, her daughter was pimped out to Nexum cult? So,
that's
very cool.
Fun.
Very cool.
And I saw the last like 15 minutes of Gothic on a stream once. I need to go back and watch that from the beginning because that looked pretty cool.
I mean, like his best, Ken Russell's best batshit stuff, I think, was, you know, aside from like Crimes of Passion in the 80s, definitely his 70s oeuvre. Like, you know, your Tommy, your Litzomania, your Music Lovers. That shit that's the kind of, when people say psychedelic, like imagery, or like psychedelic filmmaker, or allude to anything being psychedelic in a movie, I'm like, I'm picturing like a Ken Russell 70s, everyone's just doing cocaine behind the scenes. Just a cocaine-addled fuck fuel rush of a movie.
Yeah, like this movie's just not, like I said, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like it overtly rips off the Stargate sequence from that. And it's like,
yeah, and it looks like a carpet at a bowling alley.
Yeah, it's just not. It's like, yeah, like all the people like, oh, this movie was so bonkers and mind blowing. It's like you've never seen a movie, man. Like,
yeah, what movies are you guys watching? Just, yeah.
I wish I could, like, I feel like I'm drawing a blank on like other, like more kind of out there, visually
House
stuff.
House MD.
Yeah.
Just watch an episode of House MD.
Yeah, I mean, at least I'll have a more consistent American accent from a UK actor. More consistent characterization.
What's a
so this is a bit of a deflating movie.
It's so deflating.
One of those ones we just want to talk about anything else but Doctor Strange because there's so little to it.
Like, because there are a handful of, like, they tried making the Doctor Strange movie in the 90s. I think at one point Alex Cox was attached. Was Wes Craven.
Mad God. There you go. Go watch Mad God if you want to see some psychedelic fucking imagery, man. I
should rewatch that before the end of the year. Yeah, definitely check out Mad God if you feel like swallowing your tongue. Yeah, there was a point
just watch anything else, any fucking other movie.
There was also a Jeffrey Combs starred in, like, it was a Doctor Strange, like it was by like the Charles Band company, like Charles Band the producer, and like he had the rights for a while, and then they just expired just as they were about to go into production, so they had to rework everything, being like, oh, it's not Doctor Strange, it's Dr. Mysterio or Miss whatever, something
Dr.
with an F.
Orpheus.
I don't know, but it's just
Dr. Orpheus is the character in Venture Brothers who's like a riff on Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
it's one of the best characters. Watch Venture Brothers. That's just going to get you everything you might get out of these movies, but way better.
Yeah, I'd probably get way more charmed by like the older, cheaper, more corny Doctor Strange movies. That like this, I'm sure I'll probably get a kick out of the late 70s one, even if it's like lame. I'll get to look at Jessica Walter's titties. So
yeah, man, rest in peace to a real one.
Yeah, rest in peace. Good for her. Good for her. We miss you. Well, yes,
yeah, I guess that's it.
That's it. That's
thank you, everybody,
folks.
for listening. I hope you had fun.
That's all, folks.
You do not need to watch Doctor Strange to enjoy the episode. You do not need to watch these movies.
Please don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't give them your clicks or
don't
your
waste
money.
your time. Go watch The Kingdom instead, and then DM me on Twitter if it's. Twitter's still going to be around next week, guys. Come on, calm down.
Join our Discord. Follow us on Twitter at Marvelous Death. If you enjoy the show and you have the means and you'd like to kick a few bucks our way, at least actually, well, Nicole's got a real job now.
Yeah. So I'm.
Old Stu could use a little financial help.
Yes, please.
Patreon.com/marvelousdeath.
For $5. You can help feed this for $3.
$3 a month gets you bonus.
You can feed
content.
this Canadian ginger. Please, it costs less than a cup of coffee.
I need a haircut. I need money for a haircut.
Get your haircuts are for guys though. Like you just go to like Supercuts.
I'm really broke.
Oh no. Okay.
A couple of people did kick me a few bucks via Ko-fi. If you're listening to this, super thank you. And yeah, we're gonna keep. We do have a bonus episode. We've got a commentary track for Uwe Boll's House of the Dead. That's a lot of fun. I'm hoping we can do another one of those for Alone in the Dark. We're gonna have another bonus episode out for the end of the month, ideally. So we're gonna have some content for you, pay pigs. We take care of our own here, but yeah, just $3 a month gets you the content, and then everything above that, shout outs in the episode, spiffy titles on Discord, all those little things to just make you make you feel like a very special little boy or
Get
girl.
to be a producer. And I'd be remiss not to mention we've officially, I think maybe within like a couple days from now, we've officially been doing this for a year. Because
we're coming up on our year episode. We're about to cross. We'll probably cross the 5,000 listens threshold soon.
Because we recorded Iron Man like a couple days before Thanksgiving because I stupidly opened that episode talking about how I didn't want to go to my step uncle's house, and then it ended up being fine. And I'm like, oh fuck. Oh, it's on tape. That's on the internet for everybody. I hope he doesn't
Sometimes
see it.
moments aren't lost in time, and you wish they were.
I wish it was lost like a tear in the rain. Like a lot of things I've said on this podcast. I just wish that I could do some weird Doctor Strange hand motions and make it go poof away. No more cringe.
Yeah, time magic away the cringe. That's just called the delete button.
Chris Evans though. Hold on, let me see what else is.
Chris,
look at it.
Chris,
look at it.
If you're reading this, at Kunsaragi with a K on twitter.com, you can DM.
Oh, look at that. He's pulling down his shirt, showing off his chest hat. Oh, that's a man right there. Look at his Rolex.
Yeah, everybody can see what you're showing, though.
Yeah.
From
there's
this
a picture.
issue of People
There's
Magazine.
a picture of his dog Dodger wearing a shirt that matches his. It's cute.
Nicole?
People Magazine episode.
Why are all the pages sticking together?
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening.
I'm really in my cringe era.
I mean, I was Josh Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Gems.
Right.